Welcome to the Creative Entrepreneur Show. What do we have this week, Bryon?
Hey Rosh, I'm happy to make the meeting this week. I was a little bit late, as I told you before we started, chasing some chickens around. So
The old
yeah,
chicken excuse.
yeah,
I
the,
know
the
it.
good
Yep.
old chicken excuse. I know. Yeah, we let them free range, and they decided that 3 yards away was a good idea. And so the AI technology that I'm most thankful for today is the appearance touch-up filter in Zoom. So that way, my reddened, blotchy, scratched face from going through the woods isn't really as noticeable. But if you want to try to find it and see it, pop on over to our YouTube channel because we're up and running Creative Entrepreneur Show on YouTube, starting to pick up some steam. So, but
Yeah, we
anyway,
are.
yeah. So, but anyway, what I'm talking about today, I want to really give some basic level advice of people just getting into ChatGPT or any sort of AI, based obviously towards the creative entrepreneur. But I want to talk about some writing hacks to use, and also I want to get back to that core function of just ask it. Never before have we had such a useful tool that all we have to do is ask it how to use it in all sorts of different ways. So I want to get into that a bit. What do you have going on?
Well, I've been seeing a number of articles lately about this next topic that I'm going to share. And now OpenAI is giving us a warning about the topic. And I think it's going to be rather interesting because it could affect a lot of us in ways we didn't realize as it relates to AI. I'm also going to talk about Firefly. They have Model 3 out. It's actually been out since April. Actually, maybe April 23. I was thinking 24, but it's been around for a while. And I started to compare it seems like they've been upgrading it slowly. Something's going on because I started to compare it with the latest Mid Journey, and I wanted to share my results.
Cool. Well, we love Firefly, so I'm very curious to see as to, what you have going on with that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so one of the most basic ways that people use AI when you first get into using, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever direction you want to go, is for writing. And with us, I'm coming from a social media background, so it's one of the first ways that we used it. But we discovered that it was pretty limiting in the fact that you could tell content that was written by AI. And again, as we said in this show till we're blue in the face, garbage in, garbage out. You don't give it much feedback, much input, and it's going to give you a pretty generic social media post. And
Right.
how long is it until everybody is posting the same thing?
Right.
And our goal on this show is to give really good information to people so that way they can make it their own. They can use this tool, but still make the content really, really good. And one of the ways that we do it is, first of all, when we create a post for some of our clients, we'll be creating these posts, whether it be for Facebook or Instagram, maybe LinkedIn, some different platforms. And it used to be a lot of work to have to take a same post and rewrite it different ways to different audiences or same ideas. And using it to rewrite it for a different platform. Say, hey, this post great, that was really good for Facebook. I want to see what you will do with this idea for LinkedIn, and
Mhm.
change the wording and change the feedback so you can ask it that. And
And give
with
it
the
an
different,
audience.
yeah,
This is the audience I'm looking for. Yeah.
precisely. Yeah, you give it that more information, and it's going to then take that information and change the answer that it would give you, so it's not that stock default answer. And
Right.
then I've played around with it before, and it's like there's fun characters in history like Einstein or different people who had unique ways of talking, and it's like, okay, write it like it's Einstein, or write it like it's a pirate. But then I stumbled upon what was called the Hemingway hack.
Hmm.
And the Hemingway hack essentially is, famous author Ernest Hemingway had a very distinct way of writing. So and it was very, very popular, especially with the American, maybe I don't want to say not so cultured, but like, hey, let's get straight to the meat of it kind of audience. So
Right.
what happened is, we noticed over time that all this writing that came back from AI and it was written for social media, it was super flowery. You got all sorts of adjectives that might be outside of the box of normal and all sorts of ways of writing things. And you're just like, wow, besides somebody who is like 10 out of 10 happy, maybe even putting on airs of how happy they are, nobody talks like this. This
Right.
is just not normal. So how do you cut through the fat? And so what one of the things I saw in one of the Facebook groups that I followed was about the Hemingway hack, where you pretty much said, hey, write this as though you're Ernest Hemingway. And
Hmm.
it's choosing strong verbs, avoiding adverbs. It's clear and direct. It uses an active voice. And also, you're able to then go back in and it says to edit it ruthlessly. This is what he did is he took his ideas, he wrote something, saw a paragraph and said, you know what? There's still too many useless words. I can get this point across with less words. And if you think about it, in advertising and marketing, we're kind of trying to do the same thing. We want to get everyone's attention with a headline. And writing a headline sometimes is harder than writing the whole story.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, you see this. You do what in
Yeah.
my opinion, a great job headlining our shows each week, trying to get a synopsis of the whole show to make it interesting and do that. And there's an art to that of being able to say the fewer words and get it across, which I realize sometimes I get a little long-winded. So I need to, I feel like, apply a Hemingway hack to my own brain sometimes. But it's a cool way for our audience to, if they're having trouble with this overly flowery content coming back, say, hey, write this as though you're Ernest Hemingway, and then run from there. And then, think about, your own favorite artists or your own favorite, different ways of talking or speaking. It doesn't have to be Hemingway. It could be any sort of, write this like R.L. Stein, and all of a sudden it'll be a Goosebumps book. Write it, in all sorts of different ways. So, but have you used any of these kind of hacks or direct it in certain ways of writing when looking
Yeah,
at your
I haven't used Hemingway specifically, but I certainly have used a number of uh, just approaches or guidelines. I mean, there are a number of ways you can go about it. If you have a favorite author and the way in which they write, chances are the AI knows about it and can take a look at. And but sometimes it's just a matter of saying, simplify it or totally rewrite. Sometimes I have to create something, and if I just say rewrite a different word length, it's going to be very similar. So
Mhm.
sometimes I have to be very direct, say rewrite it totally or as is or something like that, so it really gets the hint, because
Yeah.
sometimes it will take the shortcut to what it is you're trying to do and not force it to think. I often feel like, especially when I'm using Claude, that if it's pausing and saying and blinking, thinking and pondering, I've done a good job because
Yes.
I know I've challenged it. If I haven't challenged it, then it's going to just probably give me basic stuff.
That's a really cool perspective and a good way to look at it. Is yeah, if that prompt answer is too quick, then I haven't really pushed it. And I think I talked about an episode a few months ago where I'm like, did I break it? Like I actually had to reply and I'm like, what's the
Yeah,
matter? Was this too much for you? And it told me, it's like, calm down, dude. I'm thinking.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's
Means you're
funny
doing a
how
good
it's
job.
yeah, exactly. So but all right, so kick it back your way. OpenAI, they've
Yeah.
issued a warning. What's going on?
So OpenAI has issued a warning that users can become emotionally attached to AI voices. And AI voices are coming, they're rolling it out. We've talked about it. And the nice thing about the new AI voices, and I know I've posed some questions in the past, just uncertainty about what's coming or what do I have the update? And the answer is I don't have the update. But I have watched enough videos showing the update that it's something you can have a back and forth a lot easier. You can interrupt it. Well, right now you're afraid to talk if you have the current version, or the past version, uh, if you talk at the wrong time, or maybe you have a thought and you say something, it's still giving you the answer that was created. So there's no real interaction. You can get the flow, like pause, wait for it to complete, make your statement, then back and forth. Where this will be more conversational. I saw a video recently that I really liked. The guy showed the new version, and he basically said, I just want to just dump all my ideas out of my head. And if there's a pause, just say mm-hmm or okay or something like that. And then I'll let you know when I want your feedback. And he just dumped out onto the whole AI, just kept talking and talking. And if he paused, the AI didn't think it was all over with. He just said, mm-hmm, and just kept going and going and going, in the pauses, it didn't break. And then
Yeah.
said, okay, those are all my thoughts. Could you summarize what I'm thinking? And then it did so. But it's amazing because
That's
it's a totally different relationship with
yeah.
the AI, and it's rolling out to more people. And there are more chatbots that are doing things like this too. And this will be more and more available because people will create chatbots out of this technology. And the thing is, I read a few studies, and there was one from MIT that really dug into this topic, just the concern of what's happening. And there's been a couple other uh, types of just articles, really digging into this idea that we're really going to develop relationships with these AIs, get a nice voice, something that's pleasing to your ears, and you just have this back and forth conversation. And like social media with the algorithms, you keep seeing the things that you're interested in social media. Well, these algorithms and these AIs are going to keep on topics that interest you
Hmm.
and will be really engaging to you
Right.
because it knows you and is keeping track of what you like and the way you like, how you responded to answers and so forth. So it really can pull you in because you've just found the ultimate person to
Right.
talk to.
I mean, my mind went down so many rabbit holes in the last 30 seconds while you were explaining
Yeah.
this. Like, are we, when one day we meet our eventual biological demise, is our AI going to know so much about us that almost our persona can live on because it's learned and adapted? And it's like, will we have one
Yeah,
that just
sure.
grows with us? Like
Absolutely.
we've
Or
we've got our
mimic you.
Facebook accounts, we've got our iPhones, we've got different things. So eventually we'll have our own shadowing AI that, and when Neuralink happens, we'll be able to dump our memories and thoughts
There
into
you
it. And
go.
yeah,
There you
so
go. But yeah,
it
if you think about it, if
yeah,
you could train an AI to be you in a sense,
yeah.
they have had situations where these new AI voice started mimicking the person they were talking to with their voice.
Oh my. Okay.
So eventually, I mean, we know with this script that's been around for a while and that's gotten better and better where you can for podcasting use Descript where if you use Descript you can write out or change out words if you stumble or something. We don't use it, but I have friends who do. I actually have a subscription to it because I always get into these subscriptions and never cancel them. But anyway, we still have it if we ever want it, and we can take out all of our ums and ahs and
Oh,
replace our stumbles
yeah.
with if we wanted to do that in the future. So those things are available now and they will continue. But there is that warning, and OpenAI, who is rolling this out for us right now, saying, "Be careful, you
Yeah.
just might fall in love."
Oh, that's adorable. So, all right. So throwing it back my way here, I've been at a few family parties, and I've actually done a few speaking events since we last chatted. And I find myself constantly going back to this concept of just ask it.
Hmm.
And never before do I think we've ever had a tool that was so user friendly in this way. So as I'm talking in these speaking events, or I'm talking, one of my uncles at this family party is a computer programmer, so I'm able to kind of talk his language to a degree. But I, told him about the local LLM that I'm working on and making, and he's like, how do you know Python? How do you know what to do? I'm like, hey, I don't know anything about this, but I continually just ask Chat GPT,
Yeah.
and it gives me this confidence of being able to tackle things that maybe would have required a few hours of YouTube videos, or hours or days of Google searches and researching and figuring all this out. Where when you think about a concept or a way you can use AI, whether it be oh, AI can read your email, and you're like, okay, that's great. How how do I interject it so it's in and reading my email? How do I control this? And again, you keep going back to that core question of just ask it. If you
Yeah.
feel like you have a barrier towards how this works, you now have a tool that's going to tell you how to use it in ways that it doesn't even know it's going to tell you how to use it,
Yeah.
if that makes sense, until you
Yeah.
ask it the question.
Right.
So, this is a very, very base level concept when it comes to AI, but I think it's the most important,
Yeah,
concept
nothing
because,
is in your way. If
right.
you're just thinking, well, I'm not sure if I'll be able to, just ask it, and it'll tell you what, even at the very basic levels. You may
Mhm.
understand one thing, but I don't know how to apply it over here, and I know nothing about, sake of argument, WordPress, or I don't know how to make a plugin in WordPress, but I want to create something. Well, just ask. It'll tell you how to make a plugin, what to do, and if you
Yeah.
you stumble somewhere, say, I'm having a problem here, what could the problem possibly be, and it'll help troubleshoot with you. It is amazing how many
So,
problems you can solve just
yeah,
by
so
asking.
here's another one from the creative side of things. All right,
Yeah.
so now, big announcement. We're going to announce it today. My band, we have our first gig. It was supposed to be last summer, but health issues got in the way. So we're playing, October 5th, And we're starting to work out having some backing tracks behind a few songs and some different things. And I know each of us will typically have like maybe a little iPhone stand on our mic stand and maybe have
Hmm.
some lyrics or different things. And it's like I wanted to create a program where I can press play on my computer and stream it out to 4 or 5 different screens, and we're all watching something same but different. And each screen is then maybe the lead singer, he gets lyrics and some information about the guitar changes he needs to
Hmm.
make, and our drummer gets some information about the song structure, but we're all playing the same song at the same time.
Right.
So I came up with this concept, and I'm like, I don't think this program or this really exists yet. So I started to get a conversation going with ChatGPT Omni of, hey, is this possible? Does this exist? If not, could you potentially help me write a program that I could do? And we can have 4 or 5 iPads out there, we're all running the same program at the same time. And it's a lofty goal, but I think it's something that I can use Chat GPT to help my creative endeavor, and try to maybe create something that maybe is marketable to other bands, because I'm in a unique position of
Yeah.
knowing, hey, this is the information I need to know, but I know that my lead guitar player doesn't care at all about what guitar changes I need to make, so he needs something to himself.
That's what you're talking about is exactly the idea behind all this. First of all, it may not be something, but it may be something that a lot of bands could really use that has been maybe there's been a barrier.
Mhm.
And honestly, when you create it, it doesn't mean everybody else is going to go create it too. And that's the neat thing about this is now this is a perfect example of how AI can help the creative professional
Yes.
solving problems. And if you have the answers to that problem and maybe continuously to improve it, you might have something. Now probably be a point at which, okay, you'll find competition, but just think of that ride and what you could do
Yeah.
if you really solve a solid problem that a lot of musicians have had. And one, just, maybe make a little money on the side with that too.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, there's just so many amazing opportunities when you allow the technology to take you places you never thought you could go before.
Right. And when you look for what you consider to be problems, or
Yeah.
hey, wouldn't it be nice if this could do this?
Yeah.
That same thing. I was, on site with a gentleman today in my BNI group who has an auto body shop, and he's got 5 screens around his whole shop that should give updated information on the job list and everything, but he wants to update those screens based on each individual room, because in one room they're finishing, where the other room maybe they're doing sanding, and
Yeah.
different parts of the process. And I'm like, wow, this could be another application for the idea that I'm working on right now. But he had some sort of software, but they had to pay licensing for like
Yeah.
each TT every month. And it's like, if you just had a central brain and a hub that could send this information out, and you had to could avoid all this licensing, this is where this technology can really come in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so again, pluses and minuses. I mean, if you have a whole business model off of licensing like that, you're going to have to continuously update and create something that is unique, that is probably not worth. Again, if you work with the AI, it's taking you time to do this. You came up with this idea a while ago. This didn't just appear one day. You're still going through the process.
Right.
And so there's still some levels of decision making, because if you just told it what you wanted, it produces what it thinks you want. Now you're going to say, okay, yes, but no. And I
Right.
want this to look that way. And let's create some um, icons for this, or a better approach to that. Again, it's a collaboration, so
Yeah.
it's not going to answer everything immediately for you. You really do have to collaborate and come up with just next
Right.
level ideas,
It's not that magic solution where you're just like, make me this right now. You press a button and that it shows up on your screen. There's still bridges that you need to gap and
which
different
is a
things.
good thing.
It's a
Which is a
very
good
good
thing.
thing. Right, right. And but again, when you get to one of those bridges that needs to be gapped, you just ask it. And
Yep.
then it, hopefully has the right answer for you. So, all
Very
right,
good.
throwing it back your way for your last topic here. Firefly, we got a new version. What's going
Yeah.
on?
So Firefly Model 3, and maybe I'm thinking more of a new version than it really is, because I'm looking at my notes and it says April 2023, and I'm like, wait a minute, it's 2024, because it has been up for a while. But I did some comparisons, and I don't think Firefly is really getting the due that it deserves. Now, we talked about Flux last week, and I started to find some areas how it was a lot cleaner, and I've seen some reviews saying, "Hey, this is amazing. Forget Midjourney." It's like, no, not really. I think Midjourney is better than Flux right now. Flux is cleaner with some things, but not, not as good as Midjourney. Firefly is, I think, better in many different areas. In this, the model, they'll just call it Model 3. Whenever it came out, I'm sure it's been updated along the way because I have been using it along the way, and I've just noticed, feel like I'm noticing some updates or some improvements. And it was doing great. I was taking some of my Midjourney prompts, putting it in Firefly, seeing how it resolved those issues. And I thought they were really good until we got to cars. When we got to anything with a car, it was horrible.
Hmm.
It was like a Euro American kind of car that really just wasn't right. And some didn't even have back wheels. And it just was weird. Where one was like a wedding limo scene. We had to do the for a client. And the Midjourney version really had some nice angles to it. It looked like a real limo. The bride in the background, where the Firefly, oh, it was very cringy. The cars were just not real cars. They weren't even, I mean, not even old cars, or just cars that had not been designed before for a really good reason. And
Not
so,
designed yet. I mean, I
yeah,
have seen
well,
the Tesla Cybertruck. Some things move backwards.
that's true. Well, this would be a many steps backwards if somebody started to design these cars. So again, I think going back to our discussion last week about, look, each one of these platforms just has its own style,
Yeah.
and you go to different ones for just knowing that some work better with people, some do better with cars, some don't even think about cars, but some will create nice abstracts. Midjourney does a great job with abstracts, and I thought Firefly did a reasonable job with them too. So, but it had a totally different approach to it.
Hmm.
So I think that would just come down to your opinion, and that's where your opinion counts. And having multiple AIs to work with, I think really is helpful. Hey, let me throw out a couple things. Speaking of that, so we didn't talk about Dolly 3,
Mhm.
but which does a good job. But Dolly 3 is now available to everybody, even the free folks, but it's 2 images a day limitation, and which is, I think that's pretty stingy on their part,
Five.
quite
Yeah, you'd think
honestly.
five, right? Yeah,
Yeah. And
but they're not charging a ton either. So there's, the other side of that coin.
that's true too. So, well,
$100.
that's free. So,
Yeah. But I'm saying, in the paid version, to
yeah,
get the
yeah.
unlimited, it's not like they're charging, hundreds a month.
No, no. So, and I would say this, there's been a lot of rumors as of late that maybe by our next show, we'll be talking a new Chat GPT coming out. Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah, we're
that's like
talking,
every
and,
week.
and it's something about it, some reasoning skills that'll be a little bit different. Uh, Sam Altman put a tweet out there with 4 strawberries in his garden, and a partially ripened one is kind of a hint. And then there's been, I saw something else about Project Strawberry. And again, it's almost like it's a different AI. So maybe it's not 4.5, but maybe it is, but there's going to be a very important element to it, especially the reasoning side of things. That's the rumor. Could be
Good.
over this week or next.
Do you think they're calling it because it didn't know how many R's were in the word strawberry before?
It could be the case.
Just saying.
Fair point. Fair point.
It now can tell you how many R's are in the word strawberry, so it's bragging about it. That's great.
Oh, that's funny. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. No,
All right. Very
go
good.
straight at the problem, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you all so much for listening this far into the show. And, as always, if anyone has any topics you want us to cover, or anyone that does anything creatively and uses AI and, you want us to interview you or ask some questions, or tell us about your product and what it is you're working on, we'd love to have you here. And also follow us on Facebook. That's getting going
Yes.
too. So we've got our Facebook page up and going.
Very good. You'll be able to get that on the website. That'll be connected today, and of course, the YouTube channel is starting to get a little momentum. So we're pretty
Yeah.
excited about that. So head on over there, and if you want to just keep the sound on and the video off, that's fine too. We get it. So,
Just zoom in. That's what I'm saying.
there you go. All right, everyone. Thank you for being here. We're two creative guys talking AI.